Hello, everyone. It's good to be with you today. It's been quite a challenge dealing with technical issues to go live. You can probably see a picture that I just showed on the slide of the current studio set up in my home. We had a huge studio with green screens and everything, and we've been trying to sort of resize it for all the other things we're doing, not just this broadcast. Here's another view of it. That's actually my view, and if you see me looking on and off camera, it's because I'm trying to see all those monitors at the same time, and so we will keep focusing. If you're hearing something going off in the background, I confess that's my iWatch going off. The phone is off, but I will need to turn the watch off to keep that from bothering us. Stan Reese, thank you for saying the nice words. I appreciate the fact that you're tuning in. Luke, it's good to see you back, and I want to talk also to Travel. I know you must be having a challenge just being in the travel business, and if any of you missed his chat, he said, hello from Denmark, where the Prime Minister basically closed the country this evening. Stay safe, everyone. We are living in challenging times. Yesterday, I spoke about 3 ways marketers can make a difference. We're going to continue to try to do that together. And frankly, this is unfolding one day at a time as we continue to think about what we can do to use our core skill to make a difference for other people. Part of that is to help you right now. And so if you are just joining and you'd like us to look at a page, put it in the chat so that our team might be able to pull it up. I have a group of pages prepared that just came in. I have not seen them. We're not simply trying to do live optimization, but we're going to focus on the most important part of your business, and that's the value proposition. The goal here is to help you rethink it, especially in troubled times where you may need to think about your product in a unique and from a unique perspective. 2, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I was speaking to the head of a European travel organization it's huge, it's global, just earlier this morning. And the pain they're going through is just devastating. And so let's team up with each other. It's probably common in a situation like this for the guy standing in the podium. My son doesn't like my lectern/podium, and he's probably right. But I have to stand because I need to write on the board, and then on top of that, I'm, normally I have notes. Today I have no notes because I'm going to be working with your pages. But I want to point out that this is not a one-way experience. If you've got things you can add to this conversation, please use the chat feature. If you see me looking right here, this is where I'm tracking chat. I see that Eric just joined us. He can't post his landing page. Team, if you can help him with that. He says, how can I make it possible? Eric, we'll try to get your page up. If we don't get to it today, we're thinking about broadcasting almost every day to try and help people right now. But I think we're also going to be doing very careful analysis to produce transferable learnings. Before I get started, and again, if you're joining us, we're going to be tearing into web pages, extracting value propositions, trying to drive performance in tough times. But before I go any further, and I think I shared pictures of my studio and sort of what's going on in that way, but I want to take you to a picture of a new article. There's no cost for this. If you're new to us, you may not know that. But Dan Burstein, who's been our editor for more than 10 years, oversees the Marketing Sherpa brand, as well as the MarketingExperiments brand, is working on this new piece. He's had an overwhelming response. He's been interviewing and talking to others. We've got 115 potential sources, and he's going to talk about working from home, how to be productive and how to be effective. And so if you want to be a part of that, pay attention to the Marketing Sherpa sort of a news release, and you'll be able to access that article and learn. It's really different. It's really different now. The world will never be the same after this experience. And one of the things that's going to change is how we think about work. Oddly enough, before all of this went down, MECLABS sold its campus to the Mayo Clinic and decentralized our operation. I wrote a 10-page sort of, we called it Workplace Doctrine, that discussed the changes of energy, the 3 kinds of work, and a new way we were going to operate. Shortly after that, we got hit by this current crises. And so we're decentralized, although we have different locations and specialized spaces. But we want our people to work in ways that produce maximum energy, which is the real key to thinking about your workplace sort of value set. Let's move on though. Let's talk about pages. And I see Marcus from Grenada is on for his first time live. Marcus, we're glad to have you. And if you've got a web page we can help you with, bring it to us before this is over with. It may not happen today. I don't know. It depends on how fast we go. But I want to help you. I know businesses all over the country need help right now. These are 3 resources. Take a look at these 3. They're free. There's no upsell from them. We just want you to have them. If you can get them, look at the links, use them, and maybe they'll be able to help you after I'm done. In addition, we're still experimenting with this because we want to make sure that our servers can handle the load and other things. But we're going to give away 10 of our value proposition courses. This is simply because we're trying to figure out an experiment. Dave, I saw your comment about antlers just now when I looked over here. Yeah, I don't know if I'm politically correct, but I grew up in the bush, and it's been my whole life. We didn't even have electricity. I was in a log cabin near Alaska on the Canadian sort of side with in between British Columbia and the Yukon. But I digress. If you want to hear more about that, hey, and I've got people in here helping. Benaiah and Cliff, can one of you grab my dad's book? Just grab it for me if you would. And it's right on against the back wall. I want to show this with you as we're going, just because it connects to everything I'm talking about. Everything I'm going to teach you today began maybe 40 years ago. I was raised in a log cabin with 3,000 books. My dad is a scholar and a brilliant communicator and a brilliant teacher. He's 86 years old. And I spent time studying all of the old masters, digressing, working through their work and diagnosing problems in ours. My dad had these little notebooks on communication. They were 3 rings. They were about this big. And he had 50 of them. And he had manila folders where he would put all of his lectures and his teaching and his illustrations. And he taught me to outline when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And then he began to teach me how to think about communication. This is a book. I didn't plan to, this wasn't planned, but because of the conversation, this is a picture of my dad with a bow and arrow in his hand. And on the back, you can barely see it. That's a log cabin where we spent time in the bush. And this is, the name of the book is A Call to the Wild. You can't get it on YouTube. We printed it in our publishing group and surprised my father for Christmas a year ago. We went through 3 printings, small printings, but we sold out instantly. We just got another printing. We're down to 5 copies again. But there's pictures in here of my family and my mom and the bush and the stories that sort of shaped, I guess, my life. I share that with you to say all the way back then, I remember my dad saying, son, never present a solution until you're sure that people are aware of the problem. And for me, that connects to much of what we need to talk about today. I want to share with you from a diagnostic standpoint part of our challenges. If you're interested, I'm going to switch back to that value prop slide. In getting in that course, we're going to give 10 of these away. Just shoot us an email to that address and explain why it might be helpful for your business. If you're a small business struggling, we want to give it to you if we can, if we have enough spaces left. And I know it's digital, but we have a limited LMS and a lot happening. And so let us know and we'll try to help you. Sarvi, it's good to see you back. Nick, I'm glad to see you. Dan Burstein, who's writing that article, is on with us as well. And now let's get down to business. This is a web page, and if you're online, if you submitted this page, let's talk about it. I'm sharing it with you on a slide, and we're going to go back to the actual website. Now, because of some technical challenges in my home, we may have to pause as they shift from slide to, we can't run multiple systems right now. We just don't have the room in here. But let's shift over to the website if you're ready, Benaiah. And as he's making that shift, we're going to pull it up and we're going to talk about it. Now, I want to invite you, as you see this page, to help me help this person. We have 2 goals. The first one is to help the person who is submitted the page, really help them. The second is to discover transferable principles that we can shift over and use to help someone else. I hear whispers in the background, gentlemen. Are we having technical issues with putting that site up? I think it's coming up now. I appreciate some of these guys have been working around the clock. They were here all weekend. in an emergency like this, there's a lot of need for the craft that we can bring together, and so we have been a bit overwhelmed. I hear, there we go. Can we see a web page? I can't see it. It's on the other monitor. We need to shift it to this one or move a monitor where I can see it, gang. So they're laughing. I think it's a way to cope with stress. If you have to, set the whole monitor for chat out of the way, and I'll be able to see it there. We have a multiple monitor setup, but we had a problem with software before we began, and I said to the team, just go live and we'll solve it. That's almost there, Cliff. Yeah, can you turn that a little bit? Now that means I'm going to look more to the left when I'm talking or trying to read, but I'll make that work. All right. All right, so I received a long letter from this person yesterday. He actually was, he inspired me with his gracious words. He saw the broadcast we did yesterday afternoon about dealing with this COVID-19, and I want to help him now. This is one of his existing websites. It's difficult for me to read on the monitor that size, guys, but you can see the name and I can see the key pieces. If we can shift it in any way, we need to shift it to the larger monitor, but I'm going to start working with what I have right here. So, team, let's look at this, and I want to say there are 3 questions that we have to ask. If you've been through training, help the people on the line right now. Tell me the 3 most important questions that we have to answer in the first 4 inches of this space. I'm watching. Use your chat feature, and let's help this person. Dave Fogel, I see you're on. We have some of your pages here that we're going to be looking at. Dave just answered the question. Why am I here? Dave, that's almost right. He says, why am I here? What can I do? And why should I do it? Dave, at this time of the country's history, why am I here may be a good question. But the real question we teach is, am I in the right place? You know, where am I? What that means is we need to stop the confusion that comes when the switch from the channel to the page has what's called site flow interrupt. When that happens, people solve confusion problems on the internet with one little symbol. I'm going to show you that symbol so that you don't forget it. Many of you have seen it. It's changed the way we have to think about marketing. Do you all remember this symbol? This is a little green arrow that is at the top of our screen that sends us back. When we go back, we try to sort of reorient. In other areas of our life, we don't use the back button, but on the internet we do. And so if you don't help people know they've landed in the right place, you won't get them. Some of you have been through our training and you know this already, but I'm going to focus on value proposition today. So this will be different once I get sort of the key pieces set up. So the point here is the green arrow. Now, using your thinking here, I'm going to ask you top 3 things. First of all, do you know where you're at when you get to this page? Think about the site that we have up. I'm assuming you can still see it. And guys, I need you to pull it up for me.
We're trying to do it on there.
All right, you're trying to shift it. Okay, so I'm dealing with the internal chat. Oh, that's awesome. They've got it where I can see it really good. And if you can put chat somewhere else, that would be great. I've got to be able to see comments. So solve for that too. There are many monitors. And there's Cliff in here, our executive producer, and Benaya, and people trying to support them as we roll. All right, music. All right, it's easy for me to see. I see a green point. Do you know where you're at? Like, is this the right place? What is it that this is about? Can you use the chat feature to answer that with me? The second question you want to ask is, and try to tell me right now, using chat so we can help this person, what can you do here? How many of you can see instantly what you can do here? It says one-stop travel shop. Put your thoughts together, use the chat feature, and let me ask a question. Does one-stop travel shop mean you buy things that will help you when you travel, accessories? Do you sell luggage? Do you sell places for me to put my passport and all those things that might be useful when I travel? Is this a place where I can book travel? If this is a place where I can book travel, then where is the travel booking engine and how do I interact with it? What does one-stop travel shop mean? Listen to me, if it's not clear what I can do here, I'm probably going to slip away before I even engage with the why. I want to help you with value proposition, and we're going to move into value proposition in just a moment. But when I start to get to the third question, now, if you're new, here's the questions again. Am I in the right place? That's 1. 2, what can I do here? 3, Why should I do it? So here's my point. Why should you do it doesn't matter unless I know what I can do here. It means there's a disconnect in the thought sequence, and we have to fix that disconnect first. So you have a banner that says one-stop travel shop. By the way, some of you are watching this and saying, yeah, well, my webpage is way better than this. Is this going to be this basic? No, but the principles are transferable. I worked with Expedia. I worked with the biggest travel groups in the entire world and had the same challenges, and we worked through them, and we're still doing interesting research in that vertical. And so, no, this does apply to all of you, even if our example here is fundamentally simple. So I don't know what I can do here. It says disclosure. What do you think that does? Friction, anxiety. When you buy something using a link from this website, the price stays the same for you, and we receive a commission. It's probably not the first thing you want to say. Right now, I haven't decided that I want to buy anything here. I don't see any reason to buy anything here. So there are three questions. Am I in the right place? What can I do here? Let's assume that you solved for that. Let's assume the image did something more effective than it does now. Let's assume that you began a conversation that was explanation and not proclamation. What is the value proposition? The real question I would ask, an audience we can help, I'm seeing you come in, why should I buy from this place? Can anyone see the reason? Okay, if you can't, we're going to stop, we're going to move to another page, and we'll come back and teach principles looking at another page. I've seen none of these, so I'm going to see them as you do. We're set up pretty good now. I can see myself here, I can see chat there, I can see my web pages here, so I think we'll just stay here all day. If you got 8 hours, I got 8. We are living one moment at a time. All right, so 3 questions. Now let's get more sophisticated. Let's get a little bit more advanced. And let's go to the next page. So pull up another URL. Benaiah, we're timing you. If you can do it in less than 30 seconds, I'm going to let you go home for the day. Oh, and he's fast. I just need it over here where I can see it because it came up to that monitor. All right. Are LXPs better for product training? So now I see a page, and my first question is that a pop-up on the page that is hovering over something else? The first thing the design of the page indicates to me is that I might be in the wrong place. Maybe I need to hit that little green arrow and back up because I'm not sure if I had a technical problem or I've seen something wrong, because if that's a pop-up, it's bigger than the website. If it's bigger, I have another version over here, and I don't see what's behind it. So apparently, and can you scroll down slightly so we can see the whole site? Let's just scroll down. All right. So this is a pop-up. Stay right there. The first issue we have for anyone that is trying to get better performance is this to help you. From a perspective of a customer, this is a rude interruption. Not a helpful interruption, but a rude interruption. And you must distinguish the difference, because a rude interruption causes a failure of the trust trial. I've taught the trust trial elsewhere, but it's too soon for this to pop up. And it's before I have been oriented, and it's before I understand what is next. I'd like to focus on the pop-up before I look at the website, though, and let's assume that this is the message you want to communicate. So, there's a webinar. Are LXPs better for product training? Now, I'm going to assume that everybody that you want to reach knows what an LXP is. If not, we've got a bigger question. I can see that I'm at a place, there's the first question, where there's a webinar. But my next question is, what can I do here? And I think that's pretty clear. I can register. Stay with me. Right now, every person that's joining us, stay with me, because we're going to learn a bunch looking at this page. It's set up properly for you and I to get transferable principles. It matters not whether you have a site that looks anything like this. Watch with me as we start to unpack the value proposition. So, one question before we begin. Is the person online who submitted this page? They should be, but there may be some difficulty in communication. If I don't hear from you shortly, I'm just going to keep going. But if so, interrupt us so we can ask you questions directly that will help you get more out of the time we're spending together. All right. While we're waiting for that, wait a second. I see someone, Learning Experience Platform, learned something new today. Thank you, Elena. Elena's teaching us all. And it is confusing, team. But let me ask the capital question, because today is not about live optimization in general. In fact, if you've seen our work, Again, this is for new people. And so I'm going to erase this piece. But for those of you who have been with us a long time, the rest of this is going to make more sense. But just for those of you that are new, the probability of conversion equals 4m. I would write it that way. Yeah, I guess I'd continue, Will. Plus 3v plus 2i minus f minus 2a. Now, what that's really saying is motivation has the highest impact on conversion. Somebody well-motivated will put up with a bad page for the same reason people stand in line for 3 days to buy an Apple product outside of a store. 3 is the highest coefficient impacting conversion here, and that stands for the force of your value proposition. And this is what we're going to talk about today. This is about incentive, friction, and anxiety. That's for a different day. Today, let's learn something new and powerful that will help us there. Back to the page. Here's my question for everybody online. And, you'll be able to watch the recording if you submit a page and you miss it. So let's help this person, but let's learn. Here's the question we all know. If I am the ideal customer, why would I attend this webinar rather than attend webinar XYZ, or let's say do something else with my time? Can anybody tell me the answer to that question by looking at this page? Can anybody? Medicaid Minute says, working with Flint is stressful? Say it ain't so. No, it's Nirvana here. I don't know your name because it says Medicaid Minute. It's Nirvana. People here are just living in Camelot. But I'm going back to the rest of you. No. There is no answer to the question. So listen to me. Every marketer right now, think about the top of your page. If within the first 7 seconds I can't begin to answer the question, this question, if I am the ideal, that's very important. It's not for everyone. And if I means you've shifted into the skin of a prospect. If I am the ideal customer, why should I purchase from you rather than XYZ? Now let's look at the page and ask, what is wrong here then? The page is all proclamation, no explanation, no rationalization. You are not rationalizing why I would want to attend. You're telling me a name. That's a logistic. You're showing me 2 people, and that's also logistic. Maybe if one of them is someone I deeply admire, that's the beginning of a reason, but it's not sufficient. Then I have a time, and then I have that horrible button, register. Somebody tell me why the register button is not working. And this would apply to every one of you. Some of you are aware of this, some of you are not. Every button has what's called a process level value proposition. There are 4 kinds of value propositions. There's even a 5th that we're going to teach later, which is your personal value prop. This is process level. This is not for the product. This is for you to take an action. The action you want me to do is to click right here. But when you put the word register, you focus my energy on what you want. Something odious that I don't want to do, instead of focusing energy on what I want, which is to get something, which is to learn something, which is to solve something. Now I want to go back to what I said to you when I held up the book my dad wrote. And what I learned so much, and he's my best friend from all those years ago. I'm not sure what problem you're solving, and I'm not sure what you're going to actually do on this webinar. Frankly, I don't even know how long it's going to last. I don't know who's going to attend. I don't know if you're going to provide me with any materials or content. I don't know what's going to happen when I hit that register button. I don't know if that's going to be an odious long process, but I do know that I didn't wake up this morning with the idea of, man, I would like to register for something. The reality is, I want to click on that button like I want to put a nail gun and shoot myself in the foot. Nobody wants to click on more buttons, register, wait, delay. We don't want any of that. What we want is something for us, and so the words on that button should be promising me something that I want. So there is no process level value proposition on that button. It's a complete miss. But there's no product value proposition on there either, i.e., I see no reason why I should attend this. You've offered me nothing. And worse, and I consider this almost an insult. Now, don't hear me wrong, because I'm trying to help you. I'm not mad at you. I'm thinking like a prospect. I'm pretending I'm a prospect. I'm troubled. You know, I've had all these messages, 77 messages come in a day asking me to do stuff. That's on average. I just found out we have to work remote. I'm talking as if I were a prospect. I'm not even sure if I'm going to have a job tomorrow. On top of that, the economy looks terrible. I don't know what's going to happen in this election. The primaries are being delayed. And one person says Trump's doing a horrible job. The next person says Trump's doing a wonderful job. And I get this message to register. Does nothing for me. I don't know why I want to attend, and I don't know why you want to click on that button. And if you're waiting on the momentum, hear me carefully. This is new. For those of you that have had value proposition training with us, I'm going to take you a little bit deeper right now. For those of you that are new, I'm helping you with the easier stuff. But for people like Dave that's on here, who's certified, and others, listen, the product level value proposition can provide momentum that almost, it's like velocity. It carries me through process level problems. The primary level value proposition can provide momentum that carries me through product value proposition problems. Let me explain. When Apple produced a tablet, we weren't really sure that we wanted one. But we had a lot of trust in the Apple value proposition. And Steve said we needed one, but all the bloggers said we didn't. And I myself thought, wow, I wonder if this is a miss. This is going to be fascinating to watch. And then I watched Apple sell so many tablets, it stunned the world. The primary value proposition of Apple underscored, drove momentum. This is how brand works through the product level value proposition. Now, you may have had the value proposition course. You may say, I know that question. You may say, I know about buttons and I know they're supposed to be value positive because you've taught this before. But are you aware how important it is to synchronize the momentum from primary to product to process? And you can do the same thing with prospect. Add them on the same level from primary through prospect, because that's another type of value proposition. Hold on a second. You may be saying, I don't even know the difference between all those. You're confusing me. Get the course. It's free. There's no upsell there. But also, we have resources that will explain this to you. Get those and watch them. I'm trying to balance, and forgive me if I'm doing it wrong, between more advanced teaching and more, let's say, simple teaching or basic teaching that will help everybody learn something. Here's the first question. Now, I'm going to do this throughout the day. I've got a capital question for everybody online right now. Do you have any buttons on your site that don't have words on them that promise something I want if I click? If that's the case, stop right now and make a note to yourself. Those buttons need to change. That's something you can do today that can help make a difference. So think about that. Now I'm going to give you another thing. Everybody on the line right now, when I go to your site, in 7 seconds, in about 4 inches of space, can I figure out right away I'm in the right place? It's pretty clear what I can do here. And you start to answer why I should do it with you. Now, if you know that, I'm going to take you a step further. Look at your page and say, is there anything else on the page that isn't answering those 3 questions? If possible, get rid of it. Now, you're in my home office, and I'm going to go back to, well, I don't want to go back to the slides, but if you saw, looking the other way, I have web pages hanging up on a wire. I'm in the home office because we're obviously all trying to get in control of this current situation, but I want you to know that even still, I have a laser printer. I print the pages, I hang them with clips, and I study them in order to try and feel the underlying psychology. I've been doing it for 30 years. Not web pages, because we didn't have them until 1993, basically, when we had the first browser, but this whole idea of messaging. My dad used to take pages and cut them up in all their sections and rearrange them and help me learn. He put them on a light board when we had times when we had electricity. And when we didn't, we'd cut them up and talk about, where's the problem go? What is the sequence of thought? I don't know anything. I've been studying this for 30 years, and I realize now that he knew more intuitively than I knew after 30 years of research. We ran 20,000 of these treatment experiments, and still we're learning. I've got a call right after this with a great organization, and we're rethinking their approach together. They had a quick win intensive with us. And even then, I'm excited about what we're going to learn in the next round of experiments. For you that are joining us now, you need to ask a simple question. And that is, what can I draw a red X through on my page if it's anything that isn't actually supporting your value proposition? It either provides the clarity of who you are and what you do, or it tells you why you should do it, or it's probably on the page because you weren't clear what to put, so you added things, guessing and hoping that maybe if you had enough things on the page, it would make a difference. That's a recipe for disaster. If you're a bigger company, your page is like a real estate turf war, and different groups have been fighting over what they could get on the page, and so they all got their pieces on the page. Here's a rule. Everybody listen, and we're going to go to a new page in just a second. We're going to go to a new page, but everybody listen to this rule. 70% of your page needs to be focused on one objective. So when we look at the next page, we're going to ask a simple question. What is the objective of this page? All right? Now, as I go to that page, all we've done is deal with a pop-up. Why are we dealing with a pop-up? Because it's dominating thinking, so it's what we should deal with. We may come back if we have more time, but I'm going to keep going. Team, if you submitted this page, we're not trying to be harsh. I want to help you. If you want to fire over changes for us to look at, we can do that. If you want to find out how you could get into a quick win intensive, we can help you with that. We'd love to do that. But whatever the case is, I want to make a difference for you. I don't want to discourage you, but we can learn together. All right? Everyone, how are we doing together? I'm going to shift to a new page, so team, bring up a new page. Meanwhile, in the chat, can you tell me, is this the right pace? Are you getting something here that's useful and helpful for you? Old timers, people that have been with me for a long time, you help me teach, will you? I want you to help me analyze the next page, and we're going to take things deeper. I'm looking for comments. Thanks, Dave. Frank, I'm seeing yours. He can't stop. Frank, I love that. He can't stop taking notes. Rosie, thank you. Good pace. Very, very good. I need these comments because, you know, unlike a web page, the way you optimize a presentation is you let the audience optimize you. To optimize a web page, there is something in comparison. I use testing so that the customer, the prospect, can optimize the page. Here, your direct feedback helps me change what I'm doing. And Elena, thank you for those kind words also. Medicaid Minute, Dave Carrier. Dave's becoming a great friend, and he's doing some interesting things in his organization. Let's keep going, all right? This page. Now, this is interesting. EasyDITA Technical Documentation Tool. Create DTA documents fast. Speed up your entire content process with one of the fastest DTA XML editors. Right. You see the page? Everybody see the page? Scroll down if you could and let us look at it a little bit more. Here's what I'm going to do. It's a timed drill. I want everybody who can participate because we're going to help this person, but you're also going to learn something. What is the value proposition on this page? Why we're scrolling it up and down, you start entering it. If you can't figure it out, that's not your problem. That's a problem with the page. All right. Now, scroll up and down a couple times, and I'm going to watch this. What is the value prop? What is the value prop? Scroll back. Okay, I'm watching the various different versions of this. Okay, I'm going to start to talk about what the issue is here, and it's radical. So if you have pages and you've worked a lot on them and you've hired an agency and you've worked really careful to get designs and good images, you probably have a disease on your page and you don't know it. I'm going to share that with you in just a moment by drawing something while I'm hearing your feedback. Dave says, I have no idea where you are. Michael Berry says, can you go to the top again? Let's go to the top again so people can see it. I'm not seeing any value propositions come in. If you can't see the value proposition, by the way, it looks like Aftab said, I'm confused. Someone said the free trial. That's not a value prop, but I understand why you'd say that because it's not clear. Can people, if you can't see it, just say, I can't see it. Because I want the person who we're helping to sort of, this is like a focus group. All right, Dave says, save time using their software. That's sort of the beginning of a value prop, but it's really weak. All right, so first of all, there's a problem in the design of the page. I'm just going to point that out. And the problem I'll share with you in just a second. And this is a strange little drawing I'm doing. And if I had time, it would not look any better because I'm just squaring boxes. What you have in the page design is interfering with your ability to absorb the value proposition. And many of you are making this same mistake, and I'm going to talk about that. Doug Week says, hey, Doug, good to see you. Fast, effective DITA creation. Create DIT documentation fast. Okay, that's the beginning of an answer. So stay there. That's good. We're going to learn a lot from this site. But I want you now to think about your site. For a moment, just stop thinking about theirs. Arlene says better process. And now let's think something about yours. Does your page have a stack? I'm calling this a stack. And generally, the stack runs two ways. It runs down and it runs sideways. A stack would be a group of boxes talking about different things with a few side elements thrown in sometimes, sometimes not. But essentially, you're stacking layers on top of each other. This is very common in Apple-esque designs. When you're Apple, you can get away with a lot of things that the average business can't get away with. If you're a stack of boxes, generally denoted by like different colors, as you're seeing here, let's review the stack. EasyDITA. It's not a headline. That's the first problem. It's a title. And then next is description, technical documentation tool. A headline is a complete thought that penetrates my defenses, captures my attention, and converts it to interest. So we don't have a headline. If your headline, here's a principle for every one of you, if it doesn't capture attention and then convert it to interest, it's failing. Now, underneath that, create DITA documentation fast. Okay, that is not a value proposition. It's maybe a step in the right direction, but it's a baby step, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But keep going, scroll down, there's a box. Can I scroll down the page, team? Slowly scroll down. I'm looking at them, they're almost sitting on each other's laps trying to get all this done. All right, there's a story at the top. Come down, here's a new story, new conversation. Enterprise grade SaaS documentation tool. Wait a second, is that the same thing or a different thing? And why is it all centered? Is that one long headline? Are you still talking to me? Or and then it says we eliminate content waste. Wait a second, how does that connect to the story above that? And then it's 40%, 60%, 90%, which sounds good, but it's sort of, how does that connect precisely to what I saw above? And then look, whole new box. Go again, scroll down. Structured authoring. Scroll down further. Is that something new? Is that part of the product we saw above that? Is that you just trying to talk to me in a different way? Look underneath this one, a new box, fully collaborative review. People, if the web page doesn't flow in the same way a great conversation flows, it's failing. A web page is an invitation to a dialogue in the mind. The page itself is a signal set, and the signal set produces zeros and ones that sort of stimulates something in the mind. When you do what you're doing here, it's sort of like I'm just going to throw everything I can at you and hope one of these things works. I'm going to stack one idea on top of another idea on top of another idea, and that stack keeps you from experiencing the single flow. No one sells anything that way in real life. A salesman doesn't come into you and stack one conversation on top of another, and there's not two boxes equally weighted with one person, like that would be like two salesmen talking at the same time. It's a conversation. It flows in a natural order, and that order needs to align with something we call the sequence of thought. So the first problem is, even if there is a value proposition on this page, it's poorly executed. Now, to the people who submitted the page, I'm not, you're doing what everybody's doing. You're copying other people. I understand that. Except on the internet, mostly what we call best practices, mostly that's just pooled ignorance. So let's go all the way to the top then, and let's just focus on value proposition. Let's help this group focus on value proposition. Okay, so create DITA documentation fast, DITA documentation fast. Here's my question, everybody. If I'm the ideal prospect, why should I purchase this from you? Now, wait a second. You might say, why should I purchase this? It's because we can. Put a because. If you can't put a because in front of your articulation, it's not a value prop, because your value prop is an ultimate reason, and it summarizes an argument with evidentials. Again, that's in the value prop work. But let's go back to this one. Because you can create DIT documentation fast. Well, that is a reason. Now let's look at the difference here. That is one reason. The question is, number one, is it the most compelling reason? So this is if it's not the most compelling reason, then it's not even it shouldn't even be up there. Or does it need to be in combination with not more than 5, but 3 to 5 other points that together provide a unique combination of reasons that answer the question, why should I buy X? Everyone listening to me right now on your own page, ask yourself the first half of the value proposition question. Why should I buy X? Look at your page. Why should I buy? Why should I subscribe? Why should I fill out this lead gen form? And if the answer is a reason, but if you've not winnowed it down into what we call the prime mover, think of the prime mover as a giant lever that you're pulling in the mind. You have to get the longest, most forceful lever and pull that one. So if everyone in the world, mostly, at least the ones you're trying to reach, want fast documentation, then you're giving me a reason to think for just a moment, but it's incredibly inadequate. The reason is, A, that would have to be the prime mover, and it's probably not. There's probably more than fast that's important. You could be fast and confusing, fast and hard to learn. It could be fast and have lots of other problems. But even if it were, you haven't answered the other half of the value proposition question, and that is why? So let's start with the first half. In fact, think of it right now. Look at your pages. By the way, I see Nancy saying it's a combination of things that makes it fast. I want to make sure I'm teaching you and I'm not confusing you. So, Nancy, I've got to come back to that statement. And we'll come back to it in a moment, but I'm going to stay on this point and then I'm going to talk about what you just said. If fast is the prime mover, if that's really what makes me want this, then you're still missing the other half. Imagine the value proposition question. And if you don't know that question, I taught it yesterday in my third point. And you can find it on yesterday's broadcast. But if I am the ideal prospect, very important, why should I buy? If you stop right there and you say, because it's really fast, you're starting to answer my question. And if that's what I really care about most, you're helping me, but you're still not going to necessarily get the sale. You say, why? That's what I want. The second half of the value proposition question is this. Why should I buy from you rather than? How do I know there's not 10 other places or 3 other places where I can get it fast as you or even faster? Until you have the best answer to my question, you're not the best choice for my dollars. Do you hear me? So some of you got to go back and you got to just think for a moment about the top of your page. Are you focused on the prime mover? And if you are, if you're really focused on that, then the question is, what is it about your solution that has an EST? You say, what's an EST? What do you mean an EST? It sounds all fancy. Let me show you an EST. An EST is sort of shorthand for grammar. And by the way, if I had time, I'd take your maybe we'll do this. Write value propositions out, do sentence diagramming, show you how the modifiers must work with the nouns to dial it up. Before you think, well, wait a second, how powerful is this? When I'm done, if the guys can get it up in time, guys, let me know if you can, and I'll pull up the model customer's mind piece. I'll show you what happens when you get it right. It's mind-boggling. But let's just keep going here. So here we go. Here's the first point I'm trying to make for you. The EST is often a part of a word that means fastest, largest, etc. It's the only factor. If you don't have a single only factor, what are you doing in business for? Evolution is going to destroy you. You may not believe in evolution for the origin of species, or you may. But I'll tell you something, it has everything to do with survival in business. Some businesses are simply surviving on pockets of ignorance, but as soon as people get better informed, people will stop going there, and they go out of business. And in crises like this, the most important thing you can do is enhance your only factor. Sometimes that means you need to narrow the audience you serve to a smaller group, because for that group, you are really, really good. Sometimes by being a generalist, we wipe out our only factor. Sometimes we have an only factor, and then we buy another business and dilute it and dilute it and dilute it until we lost the advantage that we started with. But I want to take everybody now through an exercise to help you with the top of your page. Yes, Dave, fastest, largest, and, mostest and bestest. All right, I'm being facetious, but stay with me. So think about your page. We're going to move from this page to yours. Might even help if you pull it up on another monitor, you want to look at it or think about it with me. First of all, at the top of the page, are you focused on the prime mover? That's the first piece. Or is it a combination of factors that together are unique? They're unique the way you combine them. And so they produce a real value in the market. Ask yourself that question. That's the answer. That's the beginning of the answer to the three questions. Am I in the right place? What can I do here? And why should I do it? Now, as you think about that with me, I'm going to challenge you yet again. If you have given me a good prime mover at the top of the page, have you also given me an only factor? Is there something distinctive that's an only factor? Something you do that makes your product a special solution? I was helping a business in California. This guy is cool. He's launched several startups. The most recent one was a health bar. And he and I were talking yesterday. It's been wildly successful. And now he is helping small businesses in the health food space especially and startups launch using his experience. He has 29 years experience and a great success, more than one, but particularly his most recent item. And so he has a unique perspective. He can help you. Had he tried to be the answer for everybody starting a business? He's just another guy out there making noise. The marketplace is full of all this white noise. And when you don't have anything to say, you know what we do? We just yell louder. We market harder. We push, push, push. Because we don't have game. Because we don't have a tight, clear, strong focus. So stay with me. What's your first question? Do I have the prime mover? What's your second question? I'm not talking about the three at the top of your page. Don't really confuse that. Am I in the right place? What can I do here? Why should I do it? All this is about the why. And I'll go ahead and write this on the board so you can learn, and we're going to look at another page. How are we doing for time? Is this helping you? If a business owner can't find the answer, and by the way, somebody remind me, Flint is Dave, that's funny. I said, where was that question that came up? And I said, I'll come back to it. Remind me of it if you're here, all right? But let me, because I don't want to leave that. But I want to say we're answering the why question, and the first thing I've said is, do you have the prime mover? And I'm going to draw that like a lever. And the prime mover happens when you move the fulcrum over, and that lever is powerful. Let's ask another question. Do you have the only factor? Okay? And then I'm going to ask a third question. This is the one I've been building up towards. Have you said it in a way that's clear and that helps me believe? Hold on a second. Telling me you're the fastest is the wrong move because I don't believe you. Everybody's saying that. You know what the problem is with marketing? Marketers that don't understand the ethos of marketing resort to exaggeration and lies. Let's call it like it is. Every day I watch companies lie. Implied lies, careful lies, lies that might not get them in trouble, but lies nevertheless. We deceive people because we can't give people the true answer to their question, and that is, why should I purchase from you rather than XYZ? Now listen, when you start to have a real answer, you got to figure out how to say it and be heard above the lies, because the market is drowning in deception. Sorry, I get a little passionate. My son says sometimes I'm too preachy. I learn a lot from my son. He's 26. He gives me lots of perspective. But I believe this, and I believe it profoundly. So let's come back to that for a second. The problem with this, and now I know the question I wanted you to bring back up, why are you the fastest? The real issue here is tell me the three things about you that are so unique you are the fastest. Don't tell me you're fast. I need to conclude that as a prospect in my own mind, and then it's owned in here, in my mind. It's not something you're pushing at me and I put up my defenses. When you tell me something in the form of a claim, it's like, prove it. That's the whole posture of the marketplace. But when you give me a fact that's credible, I take the fact and I form a conclusion in my mind, and that conclusion becomes something I own, I believe in, I'll even defend. So your job is to say it in a way that fosters conclusions. So F stands for fosters and conclusions. Now look at the top of your page. How many of you are seeing this? Dave Fogel say, oh no, we're not going to get to my page. Dave, I'm thinking about doing this tomorrow. Let me ask everybody on the phone. Would it be helpful for you if we did another session just like this tomorrow at the same time? And I'm paying attention to your answers. Tell me right now, because if that's the case, if I get enough of you saying yes, I'll do it. I don't want to waste your energy. I don't want to waste ours. There's crisis all around us, but I really want to help you. And I think there's so much we can accomplish together. I'd like to actually design pages together and show you how the messaging works and put things into the market and test them. We do these in our intensives. And I just saw To Travel, the guy from Denmark. I don't know if we can help you, but because you're in the travel industry, I really want to. And if you want the value proposition course, I'll guarantee you we'll give you one because your industry's been hit really, really hard. And I'm watching the answers come in. Keep this coming. And Frank, we had a big problem with broadband, by the way. But as you can see, I'm an internationally famous guy with an audience of 50. And I'm making fun of myself in case you didn't catch that. We're just more focused on what really works. I don't want to scale to be the biggest in the world. I want to focus. I want meaning in my life, and I want you to have it. And I want you to realize something about your work. It's powerful. We can make a difference right now. There are small businesses struggling. So anybody on here that can help a small business, either you are in a small business and we can help you, let's do that. Or perhaps you are you help businesses that you're an agency or a consultancy of some sort of service. Let's help you do a job right now in rethinking your value proposition. So here's what I'll do. If you'll stay with me a few more minutes, I'll go over slightly and I'll take one of Dave Fogel's pages. Dave's been on here a long time. He deserves it. Dave, we're going to pick a page of yours, somebody on my side, pick a Fogel page and pull it up. Dave, tell us a brand or two that you sent and we'll pull it up to be the last one. Dave says we need a Facebook group. I do want to find a way to keep talking, and I appreciate that. So we're pulling up Dave's pages, and while we're pulling up Dave's pages, wait a second. The plumber. He says the plumber. We have a plumber page? If so, let's pull it up. Dave is an entrepreneur, and he has multiple sites, and he's had 2 of our courses, I think. Dave, maybe more. He's been certified in. I'm going to share something with you when I'm done. For people that are new, I'm going to share something really killer in a moment. I'm going to show you the results at high speed, just fast. Click, click, click. Show you what happens when you get these pieces right. You'll see the revenue. But first, I want to help Dave. So do we have Dave's page up? All right. All right. He's running from monitor to monitor. He's operating I think we're operating, how many computers in here right now, Cliff? We're operating 4 computers just to keep things rolling from here. And if it looks like it's going to be an issue, Dave, we'll pull it up tomorrow. Can you join us tomorrow, Dave, and we'll start with yours? Let me know if you can do that at 3 o'clock. I think that's probably the best thing to do. We're out of time anyway. Let me show you. Go ahead, guys. You have the page? Let's just go to the final thing. Let's pull up Dave's tomorrow. Wait a second. All right, Dave's page is, I can see it it's on my small monitor. Can you all see it right now? Good. If you can all see it, team, what is Dave's value proposition? Tell me right now. You've been learning a lot. So I see Stephen sees it, Michael sees it. Good. What is Dave's value proposition? Let's help Dave Fogel. Then he'll get rich. And I have on good authority that he's willing to make loans to all of us that need capital in these hard times. So Dave, if you don't mind, I'll pass out your home phone number after we do this. That way people can call you 24 hours a day and borrow money. Okay? Somebody said the value proposition is to get my plumbing problem solved quickly and affordably. Now, Sarvi, can I pick on that for a second? You see Sarvi's answer? And I got to keep looking over here to see this. Sarvi, what's missing in that formulation? I'm not saying that's you because you're reading the page. What is of the 3 things on the board, what's the main thing missing in the answer that Sarvi just gave us, which is get my plumbing problem solved quickly and affordably? Somebody tell me. All right, somebody said proof. Good. Somebody else. What's missing in the value proposition? The only factor, all the way from Denmark. We score 100 points, Dan, from Denmark. So yes, I I can get my problems solved quickly and affordably, but I can do that a lot of places theoretically. Let's take it a different direction. A lot of places say that. So it says no leak or repair too big or small. We believe quality, dependability, and affordability are a must. That sounds good. It's what you believe, but there's no evidence and there's no only factor. Dave, am I making you mad at me? Because here's the thing. You have the right idea in your headline. It starts with a get. That's good. It has some of the right pieces here, but we may have to get further down the page to see more. So I'm looking over here, and wait a second. Now I start to see, is this it? Is that a different one? All right. I see something coming up on my big monitor. Let's go over to this monitor right now. Get your plumbing problems solved quickly and affordably. Scroll down on the small monitor so we can all see the difference. There we go. Stay there. Wait. 65-star reviews on Google. That's really good. Why choose Cecilia? Let's wait. Save money. Make the decision that is best for you. Every plumbing job we do is warranted. We believe in hiring the best employees. We provide military and senior discounts. Those are all good reasons. Dave, what we're missing is the ultimate reason. Now, I like a lot of what you're doing there, and you should be good because you've had some experience, and you guys may want to hire Dave to help you with things. But scroll down. Let me see if there's any more proof that I'm missing. I know you keep shifting around monitors on me. I'm sure there's a good reason. It may just be that my producers are mad at me, and so they're they're punishing me right now. All right, wait a second. I like the happy customers. That's good. Keep going. All the way down. Let's see the bottom of the page. There you go. All right, so Dave, I would say this. It's an above average presentation. Forget design features. You're getting an important message across, and it's probably better than many plumbers, which is good. It may produce more results. What it's missing is the evidentials that produce an only factor that makes it so instantly credible that you realize, wow, these guys are the best. These are the best people for me. So you might say, well, what would that be? Well, we could talk about that, but I'll give you an example. If somebody said to me right now, I'm going to start an online bookstore, I'd be thinking, yeah, right, you're going to start an online bookstore. I think that's been done before. And you'd say, well, I don't care. I'm going to do it really good. We're going to have the best customer service. You're going to have a hard time competing on that. Amazon has 70% of the entire retail business, but boy, they dominate book sales. So what else can you do? Well, I still want to start an online bookstore. Well, guess what? I can think of an online bookstore that's prospering right now because they've tightened their focus and they are the best answer. It's called Abe Books. I've been there for a while. I hope they're still doing what I saw them do last time. They specialize in collectibles, and they make it easier for me to find that hard to find book. Now, that's something that's very difficult for Amazon to compete with, and you see, even in that busy space. I saw a real estate company that blows my mind. In a time when realtors are, everywhere, and they're all competing for your business, this guy is selling like $500 million worth of real estate a year. You say, how is he doing that? What is he doing that gives him that edge? Tomorrow I'll show you. I'll actually pull up his site. I'll pull up a regular real estate site. I'll pull up his site, and I'll show you the difference. Dave, you could learn from that, and it might help you with what you're trying to learn right now. Team, I'm almost done. Looky there, Rosie just ordered from Abe Books. And looky, see, Michael Berry, it's interesting. It's very territorial. We have hundreds of competitors in that patch. That's exactly right. So we've got to figure out how this applies in our situation. I would just suggest two things. Let me show you what happens when you get it right. Do we have that? Can we pull up that PDF that I had ready, guys? And am I able to control the PDF from here? I'm talking to my team. Okay, so I'm just going to have you scroll through it. Ready? Team, watch. If you want to get a copy of this, we can send it out to you. We've sent it out before. 60 pages of tools and concepts to model your customer's mind. But I just want to show the case studies. Whip through them so that people who are new, Dave, you've seen this. Stephen, you've probably seen this. But for many people, it will help you understand what happens when you get this right. Can you scroll through the PDF, please? All right, scroll through all that. Get past the table of contents. Just show me case studies. There you go. Look at there, 638%. That's Aetna. Well, a little bit slower. Yeah, that's about right. 166%. Who is that? Scroll back up. Let's see that. Toll Brothers, giant home builders organization. Keep going. Keep going. Scroll down. Here's another one. That's another Toll Brothers experiment. Here's another one. 96% in lead gen. I think that's fluke. Keep going. Here's another one. reducing friction and clarifying key pieces. This goes on. There's the New York Times. There's a 1,600% increase. This is from our research library. We've done 20,000 of these. Ask for this PDF and we'll give it to you. My point for you is it shows the before and the after and the result. Why am I sharing it with you now? Because I want you to think that what we're doing is abstract. If you learn what I'm talking about on this whiteboard that we just looked at, you can transform your business. You can change trajectories. You can make things better now. Help me help you make it better. Can you all join us tomorrow at 3? I'll do more of this. Or can I ask one more time, am I wearing it out or do you want to keep doing this? Looking at pages, I'm definitely going to do Dave because I promised him, but I'll look at some of the other pages that have been submitted and you can submit your pages and we'll try to include them and keep driving. I'll go at a faster pace if possible. And also, don't leave, if you will, today without giving me some feedback on this because we're trying to discern whether we should continue. Are we doing the right thing? I honestly don't know. I'm going to do everything I can to help. I want to invite you to do everything you can to help. Today I got a letter, I've been getting letters since yesterday from someone who's actually helping people optimize their resume. That's awesome. If you're interested in that, let me know because I may be teaching something on your personal value proposition, how to build and communicate it. I taught it at Harvard and it went viral. It's been a few years and I'm sort of updating it and thinking about teaching it right now in tough times. Not tomorrow, but in some of the other sessions we've got coming. Can we get your feedback right now? Can you please know that we appreciate your courage and your hard work in a tough situation? And can we team up together and help more people? Let's build a real community. Let's do something that matters. Let's have work that's meaningful. Let's make a difference. Thanks for joining us.